there everyone, time for another vlog. Now this time I am inside the studio, not sitting in my chair over there where I normally am, but I'm sitting here because right down on the floor is a Wii U and I'm reviewing something that was attached to it and will be attached to it again. Me and Jacob have started doing Let's Plays, and the way we've been capturing the content from them has been this. This is the Elgato Game Capture HD. Tiny little thing for what it does. It has an HDMI out and a USB port out because it requires you to use a laptop. My laptop actually for the setup is usually sitting right here, the TV's over there, and I do all the game capturing on my laptop. All the stuff that I use, personal laptop and otherwise, the thing's a beast. You guys have seen it before. But it goes out from the USB and into the computer where it uses software that runs all the stuff that this hardware does in order to deal with it. It's also got an AV in port and an HDMI port in. It even comes with two cables. One for the AV port if you're dealing with, I think it's a PlayStation that gives you those problems, so you've got to deal with that. Or if you're dealing with something like a Wii U or an Xbox that does use HDMI, it's got HDMI in. All in all, a tiny little box. I like this thing a lot. I did not expect it to be this small whenever I first got it. It's a very compact package and great for what it does. Pros and cons, though, that I have to think. Pros, it's tiny. The software is easy to use if you're used to using software. I can't really detach myself from my ability of using different bits of software to know that if you were to hand this to someone that wasn't used to that sort of thing, like production and stuff like that, if they would know what they were doing or not. But it's not insanely complicated. In other words, it even comes with the PDF of the manual should you need it, but all the stuff like the manual and the software you download offline. So for anyone that doesn't have a net connection where they're setting this up, and how are you watching this if you don't do that, that could possibly be a con. The only con I can think of, and this is something that applies and can be seen in practice in the first two Let's Plays of mine and Jacob's Let's Play Legend of Zelda Wind Waker series that we are doing, is that as a production person that works in audio, my one gripe is that whenever you, in the software, and maybe it's just me, if anyone has one of these, let me know. But as far as I know, I'm the only one that's using it, so that's the only person I can go from. Whenever you are doing just gameplay footage without an external mic plugged in, then it will play the gameplay audio through your system as well. Unfortunately, the one thing it doesn't do is the minute you put external audio, like me plugging the mixing board over there into the laptop, that way you can pick up the audio from, well, from the microphones, I just hit the wall. The one problem that happens is muted, complete silence. What does that mean from a production aspect? What it means is you cannot monitor the audio that you're using. The problem that we have in the first two Let's Play Wind Wakers is that the audio commentary over our gameplay fades out. So like we'll be talking and then we'll be talking again. It's because it has a gate built into the software, which is very useful, don't get me wrong. The gate actually means that you can let people be able to hear the complete audio of the game, and then it fades down the game's audio automatically when it senses you're talking, and then fades it back up whenever you're not. So it's a fantastic feature. Unfortunately, if you don't have the settings quite right, you can't monitor it to find out. There's a lot of times where now, because I'm paranoid about those first two, I'll do several test recordings before we even record the actual thing, because I cannot monitor the audio as you do it, and that's a major con for me. Unfortunately, this is one of the few boxes I've found that does this sort of thing, so it's not like I have much of a choice. Speaking of the options on the thing, I've pulled up Amazon on my iPod here so I can give you the complete stats of the thing. If you want the thing on Amazon, you can find it for $159.95. This is not cheap, folks. But for what it does, it actually is worth the price. Like I said, with just that major con of not being able to monitor your audio. I mean, heck, not only does it not allow me to do it proper production, but I've had to run the audio from the television into the headphone bay here of our podcast setup. That way we can both hear each other talking and hear the audio of the game. So it's a little hack around I had to use that could have been avoided if the software itself had just been smart enough to go, they're probably going to want to monitor their own audio. I understand for people that aren't used to it, hearing your own voice could throw you off, but for people like me that is used to that, because that's part of the whole podcast production, it's a big con for me, if you can't tell. But anyway, $159.95, I will put a link in the show notes that will be an affiliate link. So if you click that and buy it or anything else on Amazon, I'll get a little bit of a kickback, so you can help me out that way. But just putting that out there. But yeah, so the Elgato Game Capture HD will capture all these things. It even works for Mac and PC, which is a plus, because some pieces of hardware only work for Macs or PCs. This will work for both without any problems. So you've got that plus as well. So all in all, ripping off the standard that most people do, is it a buy, borrow, or don't buy? Well, I'm going to say that if you're looking to get into this sort of production, it is a buy. You may want to borrow it off of someone possibly and see if it works quite as much, if you happen to know some more production friends that happen to be doing that sort of thing and they have one, to see if you can run it properly and everything. But otherwise, it is a great piece of hardware for what it does, save for that one con of not being able to listen to your audio. So it's a definite buy if you're looking for that sort of thing. Not cheap, but most production hardware, unfortunately, isn't cheap. You don't want to know the amount of money I've spent putting together this studio setup. Makes my wallet shiver when I think about it. But it's for the passion of it, so yeah, what's money? So if you want to find all of my other vlogs, you can go to tscn.tv/vlog. And if you want to find those Let's Plays that I mentioned, including the ones with the faded audio, so you can kind of find out what I'm talking about, which, by the way, those will be fixed by part 3, because we've already recorded part 3 and figured out what our problem was, so we fixed it then. You can go to tscn.tv/play, and those will be going for quite a while. They always come out on Fridays around 4 to 5 Eastern Standard Time, usually is the time they come out, unless something stopped me from releasing them then. So, until next time, live your life, and see you guys. This has been a production of the Samcast Network. tscn.tv. What's your passion?